Well, welcome to week 4 of the weight loss Zoom. We support each other. I'm quite excited about this because it seems I'm getting more and more people interested in it. This is great. It can help more people. The reasons for the weekly Zoom, well, is to be a support group. Because it's always nice to have support. We need to try to do something, and weight loss can be a challenge for some people. Well, it's also for, you can ask questions. I try to answer at least one of the questions each week, or to share dieting tips. If you've got tips, you can share that as well. Because what works for you might not work for me, but it might work for somebody else. Let's share tips. Support group helps you also to stay committed, especially if you start giving your goals, and you have to see if you can get your goals. You can also get health and nutrition tips in the process, and have some fun as well. And like I said, get your questions answered. Okay. Now, the picture at the bottom there, I suppose some of you feel the same way. I wish I could lose weight. It's easy to lose my keys, pens, cell phone, my temper, and in my mind. Okay. For some people, it might be a challenge. Okay, just to keep watching, seeing if people join. Okay. If you want to lose weight, check your portions, your portion size. Because that, remember last week, I quickly looked at some aspects of why people struggle to lose weight. They say, but I don't eat a lot, I don't snack, and so on. But very often it's your portion and your portion size that is the problem. Let's quickly go through some tips as well. Well, what's your portion size? But do not starve yourself as well. Because starving can lead to you losing protein and not fat. Or you lose muscle. Remember, if you eat more than your daily need in kilojoules, you will gain weight. Now, why do you struggle to lose weight? I've taken some of the points out. It's relevant to tonight's topic as well. Keeping a food diary to see what and how often and how much you eat. Because, like I said, some people say, but I hardly eat, but they snack throughout the day and they don't realize what they eat. And they can't lose weight. So keeping a diary might help you see, okay, wait a minute, I'm actually eating or cheating with more than I realize. Make sure to eat plenty of protein-rich foods, because protein is important to help maintain muscle, but also to help you burn fat instead. It's possible you may be consuming too many calories as your portions may be too big. How do I diet? I still eat anything. I eat treats, everything in between, but I check my portions. Okay? And if in between meals, if I do feel peckish, I sometimes tell myself, wait a minute, it's an hour or so before a meal, just hang in there. Then you can eat. A little bit of willpower. Base your diet on whole foods. Eating too much processed food could negatively affect your weight loss, because all those processed foods especially contain so many hidden ingredients. Be careful, very often it says no sugar or no sugar added, but if you read the ingredients, it got things like caramel in it. But they say it's a colorant or something. Be careful of the processed foods. And also processed foods are full of omega-6s as well. It's not good for you. And then you eat it too often, too many mini meals and snacks, because mini meals can cause your insulin levels to shoot up. And we'll get to insulin a bit later on, and you see why that can be a problem. The conventional approach to diabetes is that they must have mini meals, about 5 a day. Some people are rethinking that, so that might not be a good idea. But each person is different, so sometimes people might find what works for me doesn't work for you. Are you cutting out sugary treats and carbs like fizzy drinks? It's funny enough that many fizzy drinks that are supposed to be diet drinks, and this includes diet foods as well, very often contain artificial sweetness. And this artificial sweetness actually can cause you to pick up weight. And also it's linked to diabetes also. So make sure that your treats, when you take treats, that they're not high in carbs. I've tasted some nut bars. I saw at Bloomberg, for example, they sell at the moment 4 of them for 60 rands and 15 rand one, full of nuts, almonds, and stuff like that. But they taste quite nice. Low carb. It says low carb on it. Okay, you underestimate your portion size. You know what you can do is use a smaller plate, because our eyes deceive us. If your plate is quite big, you want to fill the plate. That's normal to us. Use a slightly smaller plate, Not this is side plate, not that small perhaps, but a smaller plate. And then when you dish in, your brain will go, oh, there's enough food in the plate now. On that note, also chew a bit slower and eat a bit slower. So when you swallow the food, your brain will tell you after a while, but I'm getting full. If you gulp like Rottweiler style, like I sometimes do, then you actually overeat. And then obviously another problem, you eat when you're bored. And then you're distracted and you eat things in between. So watch what you eat, your portion size, but also what you eat, not just portion size. And that's a big problem to a lot of people while they don't lose weight. And remember, some people go on banting and they eat only the banting food, but they eat these massive plates and they struggle to lose weight even on banting. So still watch your portion sizes. Last week I also showed this. This comes from Show Academy. Remember, for health purposes, where you carry your weight is important. Like the apple shape is definitely one of the worst ones, which in terms of health. Okay, so that's also important. So if you've got an apple shape, even more reason to lose weight. One of the questions a few weeks ago was, what about insulin? Some people on insulin actually gain weight. How is it possible? What is going on? And that was a question. Can injecting insulin cause weight gain or make it difficult to lose weight? Now, people, we all, whether you're diabetic or not, we all will have insulin in some form in our body. Well, but in some form, in some quantity in our body. Okay, let's go on. People who take insulin often gain weight. Remember, insulin is a hormone. It's made from amino acids. It's a protein as well. This specific hormone is a protein. It regulates how the body absorbs sugar. Now, the sugar your body will absorb is glucose. Because whenever you eat carbs or any food that is converted into sugar is converted into glucose. And then insulin's job is then to take the glucose and get it into the cells. Now, the weight gain can be frustrating because keeping a healthy weight is important to manage diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, and many other health issues. But the good news is that you can maintain your weight even if you take insulin. You can. Now, just explain the function of insulin. When you eat, you can see here on the graph, there's a line at the top there, which basically is where your sugar should be a maximum. The bottom, where the sugar should be a minimum. So otherwise, your sugar level should be between that, the blue line, blue curve, in other words. That's where sugar should look like. Now, if you have got a problem, if you eat too refined sugars, food high in carbs, you'll find you that orange line, it might happen that way. And that's where the problem starts. Because the moment your sugar level goes higher than the upper level, and you have insulin in the body, and it's normal, the body will produce insulin, the insulin will try to put this glucose inside the cells, and the cells will say, but I've got enough glucose. What will happen? The cells will turn that into fat. So that is one of the problems you have. Now, the first signal when you eat food, and the first signal in terms of health, nutrition, and glucose and all the processes, now the first signal causes the body to take the glucose into fat, or turn the body into fat storage mode. So that's, like I said, as insulin secretes cause glucose to be cleared from the blood, the body must do something with it. Okay, so you've got a lot of glucose in your blood, more than your cells need. Where must it go? So the body says, okay, I can't just leave the glucose lying around. Remember, glucose causes inflammation in your blood vessels at high levels. So it's left with no choice but to convert it to fat and then store it. The second signal causes fat utilization for energy purposes to be curtailed. So because we eat so much carb-rich foods, our body's so used to, okay, we get carbs, so it unlearns how to burn fat. And that's where banting and keto comes into. So let's teach the body again to burn fat. Okay, so the body must learn how to burn fat. Otherwise, this process shuts down. And this is why people end up being like diabetic, for example, because the carbs are always in high supply, and the body's started to unlearn to burn fat as part of the road to diabetes and other health issues too. what is the process? Sugar or starch get converted to glucose. Like I said early on, other things like fats and proteins can also be converted to glucose if your body needs more glucose. An interesting fact, a doctor mentioned the other day, sugar is not an essential nutrient. You don't have to eat sugar. You find natural sugar in your fruit and vegetables in any case. And even if you don't get any sugar in, your body will convert fats from your food and proteins from your food into sugar, into glucose specifically. The excess glucose then gets converted to glycogen. Glycogen is the way the body stores excess sugar in your liver and in the muscles. But it can only store so much. For people doing exercise like runners, joggers, it stores about 2 hours worth of sugar. Okay? The excess then can then be converted to fat. Once the liver and the muscles are full, unfortunately, the excess will be converted into fat. So, insulin-associated weight gain may result from a reduction of blood glucose to levels below the renal threshold. Remember I showed the graph, the top and the bottom line. Once it drops below the bottom, then you might have compensatory reduction in calorie intake. Because of that, it drops, or because of high insulin levels, it drops to below the level you should have. And then people become either aware of it or unconsciously, they take in more carbs again because they're afraid of hypoglycemia, or they experience hypoglycemia and they eat something again. Or it can be side effects of the subcutaneous administration of insulin. But there is scope for limiting insulin-associated weight gain. We'll talk more about that as you go on. Strategies include limiting insulin dose by increasing insulin sensitivity. Now, if you can make your cells more sensitive to insulin, you end up needing less insulin. Remember, as you go on the path to with weight gain, your cells become insulin insensitive. So exercise can help, and other therapies can help. Metformin, there are medicines that can also help to increase insulin sensitivity, but making choices that decrease the need for insulin may also help. So you can make the right choices, so you need less insulin, you actually get out of the insulin trap in the end. But it won't happen overnight. That's a big thing. A lot of these things take months to happen. Some people find it in 6 weeks, some people take 6 months. It depends on your personal health and your lifestyle. Now, there's a balance between blood sugar and insulin in the body. Some instances exist where insulin does not work as well as it should. That's called insulin resistance now. It doesn't work as well as it should. And then the body produces more insulin. You see the problem now? You're producing more insulin. And this process now is called insulin resistance. And this is obviously a risk factor for developing diabetes. And it's a primary feature of type 2 diabetes. Obesity is associated with insulin resistance. That is why weight loss is so important. A person who is insulin resistant and wants to maintain a healthy weight, the body may need to control the insulin levels. Coming back to my idea about the 5 mini meals, if you don't have a meal, you need insulin. Or if you're type 2 diabetic, insulin, your body will produce more insulin. And you must try and get out of the roller coaster. But like I said, people are different. Some people might need the 5 mini meals. Now, ways to lower your insulin levels. How can you decrease your dependence on insulin, which will also decrease the risk of your body producing fat, which will help you then lower or lose weight, in other words? Well, 1, follow a lower carb eating plan. Try supplementing with apple cider vinegar with mother in the morning, in a glass of water. Now, apple cider vinegar with mother is not a clear one, it's slightly dirty. The other bottle says with mother. And I've seen it in local supermarkets like Pick and Pay as well. Well, notice your portion sizes, obviously. Eat less sugar carbs, that's relatively obvious. But prioritize physical activity and make time for physical activity. Whether it's working in the garden or just walking around the block a couple of times, or next time you go to a building and there's a lift or stairs, take the stairs. And there's physical activity. Add cinnamon to your food, your diet, or turmeric even will also help. Or use a whole food supplement like Botanical Balance. which also helps here. Choose complex carbs. Not, you see what happens if you take simple carbs, the body is programmed for complex carbs. Complex carbs takes longer to break down, so it doesn't release the sugar that quickly. Simple carb releases sugar quickly, which means the body thinks there's a lot of sugar still coming. So the body actually can produce more insulin than it's supposed to. And that's why the sugar level then drops below the level it's supposed to be. There's also one of the risks of injecting insulin when you eat, because if you inject a little bit too much, your sugar level will drop below the level it's supposed to be. Increase your activity level, exercise specifically, but include resistance training. Also, it's very good. You don't have to go to the gym with necessarily having weights. You can take tin food, the tins, and use that like little dumbbells and practice some arm movements with that. In actual fact, there was a study done many years back on old people in wheelchairs that couldn't walk anymore, and they gave them dumbbells to exercise. And within 6 months, most of those people could get out of the wheelchair and walk again. So don't underestimate the value of resistance training, so weight training stuff. Another thing is consider intermittent fasting. I've heard from Dr. Brian Hoppy, for example, that some people, type 1 diabetics, that were intermittent fasting actually reversed their type 1 diabetes. More studies needed to confirm that, but that's what he mentioned. Increase soluble fiber intake, like flaxseed, beans, all types of beans, apples, avocados, sweet potatoes, pears, broccoli, guavas, hazelnuts, whole wheat flour, but not if you're diabetic, be careful, whole wheat flour, prickly pears. The soluble fiber also help with reducing the sugar in the blood. Concentrate on weight loss if advised, because if you lose weight, it will increase your insulin sensitivity, which means the insulin starts to work effectively, so the body will make less insulin. Incorporate green tea to your diet, herbal teas, like usually New Life herbal tea as an example, because that also boosts metabolism, which helps to burn sugars fast as well. Eat more fatty fish, which help reduce insulin resistance and insulin levels. Interesting enough, we talk about omega-3 as such a good thing for many things, inflammation, for blood circulation, but I found this, that it also helps with to reduce insulin resistance. I remember many years back with my father-in-law, he had type 2 diabetes. In those days, we didn't have botanical balance. We gave him simply zinc and omega-3 and just a multivitamin mineral, and that helped him to keep his sugar levels between 4 and 7. And this is why the salmon oil helps to reduce insulin resistance. Get the right amount of type of protein, like I mentioned earlier. This may also help insulin sensitivity. But get a good quality protein. Get a complete protein shake if you want to use one. 122 amino acids complete. You can also use it as a meal replacement. My meal in the mornings, my breakfast is a shake with some multivitamins and some omega-3s and so on. That's my breakfast. Eating foods that keep blood sugar levels low is also good. Remember, often the foods that keep blood sugar levels low, also foods that will help keep insulin levels low. Because the insulin trap, we must be careful of that. Low glycemic index foods are known to maintain a slower, steady need for insulin instead of causing sudden spikes. The spikes, that's where the problem comes in. These are preferred sources of carbohydrates. The Diabetes Council recommends eating the following foods to keep blood sugar levels low. Avocado. Now that's a banana, but we must slightly agree. If you can eat a banana, some diabetics can, some people cannot. Okay, but the riper the banana, the more sugar it contains. So generally, banana is not recommended for most diabetics. Okay, blueberries, cinnamon, garlic, honey, even honey, interesting enough, helps with this. But again, diabetics, be careful of honey. Slow cooked oatmeal, again, diabetics, be careful of that, and even vinegar can help here to help keep the insulin and blood sugar levels low. Obviously, reduce stress and include green tea, chromium, which you can find in whole food supplements as well, and ginger in your diet can also help with this problem. Okay, now foods rich in chromium, there are quite a number of them: broccoli, grape juice, diabetes, be careful of grape juice, turkey breast, English muffin, because it's whole wheat in there, mashed potatoes, green beans, whole wheat flour, brewer's yeast, fresh orange juice, freshly squeezed. Okay, beef, most meats actually, beef is one of the best. Tomato juice, apples, and red wine. Okay, remember some of these things are not recommended for diabetics. Use a whole food supplement like Beta-Guard or multi-mineral with alfalfa. Those are things you can use to help because they contain chromium. Now the weight table. You might be waiting for this. I don't know if everybody's waiting here, but okay, as you see, mine has come down by about 600 grams from last week. Linda, I see a bit of a struggle, but okay, next week she's going to probably show us. And I don't know if Noms or Lorraine, I don't think they're on here tonight. I haven't seen them here. We just need to see something just in a moment. Okay, no, they are not on. It's not a problem. Okay. Right. Summary of tonight. To lose weight, you do not only have to change what you eat, you need to change your eating habits permanently. Check that you eat foods low in kilojoules and a low GI. Check your overall kilojoule intake. Get some exercise, boost the metabolism, and maintain muscle. Choose food that boosts your metabolism. I touched on some foods that help in terms of your metabolism, like green tea, for example. It may help to have a support system like I've got here going. Reduce your need for insulin. I'll give you a long list of things to do to reduce insulin. The recording, I will share that on the group so you can listen to it and make notes of that as well. Because that way you can reduce your need for insulin, like I said, and watch your portion size. And if you're scared of not getting all the nutrients in, think of a whole food supplement, consider using that. Be careful of synthetic supplements, however. There are many pitfalls when it comes to that. That's another topic. If you want more information on that, you can also contact me. Okay. Now, you didn't gain all your weight in one day. You won't lose it in one day either. So be patient with yourself. If 1 week you slip up and you gain a bit of weight, well, try the next week to come down again. Okay, any questions and so on, and success stories and suggestions? I'm going to go out my PowerPoint now so I can unmute you, and then you can all participate who want to participate. Okay, let me just unmute all quickly. Or you can actually unmute yourself if you want to. Okay. Any questions you can ask now? Anything you want to share?
May I ask something?
Yes.
Okay. So this morning, for the first time, I had 2 eggs and I had about 2 tablespoons of diced bacon. I had a tomato and I had, what was this, tomato? 2 eggs. And then I bought that banting bread.
Yeah.
The small little loaf. Okay, so I had 2 slices of that. So, and I walked out the house without my food for the afternoon, for the lunchtime. So I had dill pickles there, and I had a pickled onion, 1 tomato, some mozzarella cheese, and a half avo, still at work from last week. So I had that with just salt and pepper on it. Is that too much of? Is what I'm eating in the morning is too much? Because in this evening, I had a pumpkin which I had left at work at home, and then I made like a little frittata with another egg and a half an onion and a very small tomato, and I would probably 2/3 of a cup of chicken, shredded chicken, and an egg to bind it. Oh, and some coconut flour, which I wish I hadn't put in, was really awful. And some garlic. Now, is that too much food? And then basically 2 cups of coffee with half a spoon of xylitol and about 60 ml of milk each time.
Okay,
No,
Linda, what do you say, Linda?
I don't think that's too much food.
Obviously, let's just check the portion size.
Yeah, for
You
me, it's
need-
about the portion size. Yeah.
You need eat variety. That's good to have variety. Just check your
Yeah.
portion size in the end. But obviously, your scale will tell you after a few days whether you are on the right track or not. And then
Yeah.
To get another picture. I know I lost a bit to begin with, but nobody's actually said to me, somebody said to me, your stomach looks less bloated, but nobody said, gee, you've lost weight. So it's only been a week, really, a week and a bit. I'm hoping everybody say, oh, you've lost weight. Nobody said nothing, so obviously I haven't.
Janet. Herman, I have a question. I'm trying to cut out dairy. Well, not so much dairy. I enjoy my cheese, but I'm trying to cut out as much milk as I can because I know it's quite inflammatory. And so I know soy as well is not good, and I can't drink almond milk in my tea or coffee. It's just awful. How detrimental to my diet would it be if I include soya milk in my tea and coffee?
look, if you can find non-GMO soy milk. I've seen it in shops.
Okay.
So if you have to take soy milk, then find the non-GMO. I've seen them in those cartons, the liter cartons as well.
Okay.
In
All right.
Pick n
So
Pay. I've seen it in Pick n Pay before.
okay. So I'll look for the non-GMO because I really only have about 2 cups of tea or 2 cups of coffee a day. I don't drink more than that. But I just found with milk, I just tended to have, I don't know, I do sometimes get an upper respiratory infection, and I think that's exacerbated by milk. Although it just seems I can have yogurt and cheese and all of that stuff, but I thought I'd start by cutting out the milk.
Okay.
So I'll try the soya, but I'll look for the non-GMO. Thank you. I wanted to just find out about the inflammatory thing with the soya, because I know it's not too good for you.
No, it's not
Does
a
the soya
big option.
taste similar to normal milk?
Yeah, the normal soya is fine. It actually tastes good in your tea and coffee. Not like
Just like
almond
normal
milk.
milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What you can
Yeah.
also try is I know Woolworths sell hormone-free milk because I know the
Oh,
milk is such because of the way they give the hormones to cows. The cows will produce more
Yeah.
milk. The problem
Yeah.
with that is, firstly, the milk those cows produce very often can actually be linked to diabetes to start with. Secondly, those cows tend to get a lot of infection, so they treat
Yeah.
with antibiotics. The
Yeah.
antibiotics also end up in your milk. Because
Yeah.
of the hormone treatment, other hormones also end up in your milk, which you don't want. But also sometimes the pus, because of the infection, they also end up in your milk.
Yeah.
So maybe try the hormone-free milk perhaps.
Yeah. Okay.
It's relatively more expensive, but in the end, health-wise, is worth the while in the end.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
my
Thank
goodness,
you.
not gross.
Yeah. Okay.
I know when I did banting all those years ago, or whatever it was, you weren't allowed to have milk.
Yeah. No. Now they tell you to have full cream milk.
Full cream, yes. Yeah.
In your coffee. Okay.
Yeah. In anything. Yeah. And said, low fat and fat-free milk or fat-free or low-fat yogurt is just so unhealthy. I think it's a misconception that we should have the low-fat products.
No.
They're just
Yeah.
far more processed than the fat, and the catch-22 being a diabetic, I mean, type 2 diabetes is caused by insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is caused by fatty cells. The cell has got too much fat in it, so the insulin can't open the cell up. So you need to actually you need to cut back on your fat, but you don't have a low-fat diet because the low-fat diet is actually unhealthy for diabetics, for diabetics. But you need to lose the weight so we get rid of the fat in the cell so the insulin can open up the cell rather. So it's a bit of a catch-22, and that's why I'm saying, I mean, I've been diabetic for 20 odd years and I've been on insulin for 18 of those years. And ever since I started insulin, I put on 40 kilograms, and it's been a struggle and a half to lose that weight. A terrible, terrible struggle. So
It is enough about cheese. I saw that day in the shop. I can't remember the brand now, but the cheese normal cheddar cheese, the ingredients actually had an artificial sweetener in.
Yeah, you see.
So we must be very careful also what cheese you buy. But
No, it's awful. It's
so
awful.
so many things.
Maybe next week, Herman, you could just go through for some of us how to read labels on products.
Okay, I can look at reading labels a bit. Yes.
Yeah, you know, like what are the important things? Because I know there's a lot of ingredients like the E additives, and there's a list. I think there's almost 200 E codes, and nobody really knows what they are. They'll just say it's E622, and you don't even know what it is. But when you look it up, it's some chemical poison. And you know, what are the additives that we should be avoiding? What are the artificial sweeteners that are the most dangerous? Because I think, as far as I know, stevia is really the only healthy one. The rest are everything else we should avoid.
Is xylitol one we should avoid?
Xylitol's problem for some people, it can upset their stomach.
Yeah.
And
it also spikes insulin. You see, that's the problem.
Yeah, so that's also
does it spike your insulin?
In some people, it does.
Some people, yes. You have to check that as well.
Yeah.
Interesting article I read today, and we actually was finished off. It's almost 40 minutes now, the Zoom. I read an article today again about fats and oils. There's more and more research coming now again that says that your full fat and even your animal fats are not really bad. It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not. It's actually your omega-6s you find, your trans fats you find, and also too many carbs in your food. Those are actually the culprits.
Yeah.
So if you have a lower carb diet and you don't have a lot of omega-6s, which cause inflammation, then all those full fat foods will not be a problem. Will not give you cholesterol and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
that's a big apology, actually.
They do. But there's a lot of money talking, unfortunately, and it would still take some time before all this changes in the main media and so on as well.
Well, that's the story with breakfast, where this is what everybody was telling me, don't skip breakfast. Breakfast is supposed to be the most important meal of the day. That cliche, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, is actually a marketing tool that was started in the 60s by the breakfast cereal companies. It was a marketing tool, and I Googled it and I researched it, and it's actually true. It was a marketing ploy to say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and this is what you need to have. This is why you need to have all the sugar. And breakfast is not the most important meal of the day. I think it's just up to the individual and the person's body. Like, I can't eat at 7 o'clock in the morning. My first meal is usually about 10:30, 11 o'clock. My last meal I have at about 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. So it's, you know, everybody's different. I mean, bodies are weird things, very weird.
And then also psychology as well.
Yes.
Yeah. May I ask you if you could talk about things we can drink? Like something in the not cool drink, but something in the, cool drink line.
Cool drinks, yeah.
Because I'm really, really struggling with that. I haven't cheated, but I really feel like something, and I'm looking all over in all the supermarkets at all the labels to see if there's anything I can have.
I drink one called Low-Cal. It's a cordial, and it's called Low-Cal. I think the carbs and the sugar is less than 5 grams. I think it's like 3 or 4 grams. I can't remember, but I have that with sparkling water or water. But
it's got aspartame in.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
I don't think it has. No,
it has.
No.
It's got I actually looked at it this afternoon. The lime lemon flavor. It's got 2 different non-nutritive sweeteners in it.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's got, is it maltitol or something? The sweetener, I can't remember. But also, once again, are we really going to find something that has absolutely nothing in it that's going to be suitable for us? That's why, for me, what I will do is, like I say, I'll have maybe 1 or 2 glasses of that stuff a day, if that. Usually I drink water with lemon in it or something else in it. I'll put some strawberries or berries in the water. And let it
I'll check this as well for next time. Okay.
Okay.
Because, like I said earlier on, artificial sweetness also can actually lead to obesity as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's a tough question, but I'll look into it, see what I can find for you.
Alrighty, thanks,
Okay.
Herman.
Okay,
Thank you
people.
so very much.
And you guys send your questions because they asked me to prepare things for next week, so I can know what to talk about. I've got some topics now as well. Linda, I know you've also asked another question. I made a note of that as well about juicing. I'll get because that's also part of what we can drink.
Yeah, we can we can do that
Okay,
next week.
so I can include that as well. Okay. Okay, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining and invite people to join us because we support each other, help each other. Okay. And if you've got the guts, give me your weight and your target. I can put it on the table I've got. I can participate in it. That's up to you. Okay, everybody.
I'm quite happy to do that. I'm sick of hiding my weight. But everybody can see how fat I am, and I'll just pretend I'm not.
No, I'm over it now. That's what I am.
Okay. That's WhatsApp information. I can put it on for next week then. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, everybody. It was nice chatting to all of you.
You too.
Thanks a lot.
See you next week. And brief feeds along next week as well. Okay.
Thanks.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.